Hi everybody, my name's Scott Glasgow. GlasgowDocumentaryPhotography.com is my website, and you'll find me on Instagram, just Scott Glasgow, or Glasgow Jai Scott is the handle for that. I do mainly street photography. Some of you probably know me because I obviously share this video as a sort of first video for YouTube. So I'll go out through my social media sort of feeds, so I guess the first people that will be coming on here will probably know me, but you might not know everything about me. You definitely don't know everything about me, because nobody knows everything about anybody. This is going to be really a bit my journey in photography. It will go back to my early my early teens, and what sort of informed some of the stuff that I take photographs of, and I suppose that then thinks about my values and where I grew up and what I was exposed to, and how that shapes my photography. So this is going to be very much about the why of my photography, and the messages behind it, rather than any technical elements and stuff like that. And it probably will be quite a lot about just thinking things through here as I'm talking, but it's probably going to be talking a lot about people who have influenced me and continue to influence me, or new people who influence me, because there's been several of those over the last couple of years. So that's kind of what this is going to be about. I'm doing this today just as I'm out for a wee walk with the dog up through Kelburn. I stay in Largs, so just taking her out for a walk. I've got my camera with me, I've got the film camera with me today, which is the Olympus OM1. It's not going to be a big gear. I use two cameras. I use Olympus OM1 and I use the Leica Q2. The reason I use them is they work for me. I don't buy into the whole sort of Leica brand and or the rest of it, or the sort of revival of film and stuff like that. It is very much about going back to the basics of photography, and both those pieces of kit do that for me. And I might talk about that in sort of future videos, just run about sort of why I've done that. So again, just going back to the why I've done that. So I grew up in Glasgow in the 1970s, so my life was affected by, like everybody else in the 70s, was affected by the politics that were going on at the time, especially sort of Margaret Thatcher. That was all in the news. Very much had sort of newspapers and broadsheets round about the house, even though we were working class. The area I grew up in, I'm not going to say it was rough, it was what it was. It was a council estate, but we had an okay life. The secondary school I went to was extremely rough, probably one of the roughest in north of Glasgow. So and it fed several communities, all which had gang affiliations, and there was a lot of trouble at it. So that also shaped who I am, but also shapes how I see people, and the circumstances that people have experienced in life. So my photography journey, where did that start? I started joining the cycling club when I was 10, and part of the cycling club sort of calendar was through the winter we would have people coming in and doing talks about their travels over the summer, and some people would travel for longer, and it would be people travelling at home and abroad. So there would be Scottish tours, English tours, Wales, Ireland, France, Italy, and even across the Sahara Desert. So people would be off doing their travels during the summer, and then they would come back and they would do a talk through the winter, and that would usually be accompanied by slide photography. So very much exposed to photography from quite a young age, as far as travel photography and a lot of social documentary photography, because they were very much living in the communities, and I suppose displaying a lot of the cultures that went with those countries. So I was exposed to that. I didn't do an awful lot of photography at that stage, and even when I did get into photography, I was still cycling, but I never really took that up for some strange reason. It was very much based in my local community. So the community central halls in Maryhill was where Mum worked in a project there, and at one point there was a community dark room in there, and you got some training. I must have been about, I don't know, somewhere between 12 and 14 I would suspect. And you would access the darkroom, but they would also teach you photography, or the basics of photography. And as part of that, you were asked to photograph community events, gala days, youth theatre events, and stuff like that. So that was good, and I suppose it probably switched me on really to the sort of social documentary type photography and photographing people, an interest in photographing people. Other than that, there was the decline of the industry around about the Clyde, which was quite local to us. I grew up initially in Anderson, and then moved to St George's Cross. So when I was out photographing at that point, I don't have any of these photographs at all, but it was very much the sort of the cranes and the sort of Clyde side at that time was what I was photographing. Sadly, I don't have any of those photographs any longer, or even the negatives. So that was my early years, and then I kind of left photography for a long time, and until I was 40. And then when I was 40, I got a present of a DSLR, so I got a Canon 550D. Loved that wee camera. Unfortunately, it did die eventually. I think because I was shooting all weathers, shooting the rain and stuff, which is, going back to the gear, one of the reasons why I have the Q2, because it's weather sealed. So I don't mollycoddle my cameras. They do very much get used in the outdoors. So anyway, I had the 550D, and then I get caught up in the whole sort of Instagram thing, the YouTube thing, the gear acquisition that you get caught up in, and I went through several cameras. But whilst I was going through all that, I was following a sort of a journey of finding out what made me tick, what interests me, what I was trying to save in photography. And if you go on my website, you'll get a bit of a better idea of that. I'm not intending to show my photographs on here at the moment. It's very much about sort of using this platform just to sort of give people a bit of an understanding of who I am, where I come from as far as my photography, and what interests me. So I'm hoping that sort of gives you a bit of an introduction to me. And if you don't know me and you want to follow along, it'd be great to have you along. Most of these will be done sort of outdoors while having a walk, or whilst I'm sort of just chilling out a bit. But my street photography is really important to me now. I use the term street photography just because that's generally what's accepted. I would say it's more social documentary photography, because I'm trying to raise some issues through that. So that's all for now. This is the third take at this video. I'm trying to do them in one go without editing, so that I can just then put them straight up, and it will be as it is. So hopefully the sound quality is okay for the start. I'm just basically doing it with my iPhone and my headphones, so I'm keeping it as raw as I can. But it would be great to have yous along, just to sort of share who I am, why I do my photography, and the whys behind that. If that would be of interest to you, drop me a message, let me know. And if there's anything that you want to sort of explore through my photography, I'm happy to do that. So give me a question if you've got questions about particular images, or if you've got any questions about what I'm sort of explaining, then I'm happy to do that. I do have a very sort of sociological mind, so I probably will focus in on that, as well as sort of social factors that affect people. Okay, hope everybody's well. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.